Hi guys, and welcome back to JavaScript Playground. So far we have learned how to select single and multiple HTML elements. In today's video we will learn how to update the content and attributes of HTML elements using JavaScript. Let's say we have to create this countdown timer. So what we need here is a way to somehow reduce the number by 1 every second and update the background image every second. So we are toggling between two background images. So one is this one and another is this bluish pink. And every second, the background toggles between these images. All right. So let's give it a try. Say we have this HTML page where we have a background and a number in the middle of the screen. This is our HTML code. And we've already created a JavaScript file and connected it. All right. So let's take it step by step. First, what we want is to be able to get this number in JavaScript and reduce it by 1. So let's give that a try. Let's bring our code editor here. Okay, so we've got an ID for this countdown number. Let's copy it. Let's select the element. So var, let's say countdown element. So we have to select one element by its ID. So we can use get element by ID method. So document dot get element by ID. Let's pass our ID here. Now, if you remember, in one of the videos, I told you about inner HTML property, that whatever content is inside the HTML element, whether it's some text or more HTML element, it is stored in inner HTML property. So let's use that here. So countdown element, because this is storing our selected element. Let's try printing it. So console log. Let's save it. And as you can see, we get the value 10. So if there was some another HTML element, say, let's change this to say span and 10. Let's save it. So it would give us that HTML element. So this inner HTML property, it gives us whatever content is inside the HTML element. So whether it's just a string or it's more HTML elements. So let's just revert this back for now. All right. So again, as you can see here on the console, we've got 10 printed. Now we have access to this value. So let's store it in a variable. Say initial countdown val. So now this value 10 will be stored in initial countdown value. So if you notice, so this is an object and this inner HTML is a property inside this object. So to access it, we did countdown element dot inner HTML. Similarly, to update it, we can do countdown element dot inner HTML and we can give it some value, say 200. Let's save it. And now as you can see, 200 is printed on the screen. So if you update it to say 100, so it shows 100 on the screen. But in our case, what we want is initial countdown value minus 1. So as you can see, we've got 9 printed on the screen. So now what we want is this line of code to run every second and update our value. So for that, JavaScript has a function called setInterval. Now this setInterval accepts an inline function and a duration. And what it does is it keeps on running that function after that specified time. So let's create an anonymous function first. So function and comma. So this accepts the time in milliseconds. So for 1 second, we can do 1000 millisecond. Sorry, just 1000. Let's move this inside. Let's save it. So as you can see, after 1 second, it went to 9, but it did not update after that. And why is that? Because we took this value, did -1 and updated our HTML element. But after every iteration, this initial countdown value is still the same, which was 10 in the beginning. So let's update this. So initial countdown value minus equals to 1, and let's just use that updated value here. Let's save it. And now as you can see, every second this value is decreasing. So we've got 4, 3, 2, and 1. But it doesn't stop at 0, it goes to negative. So to stop at 0, we can put a condition. So we can put a condition over here. So whenever we're updating the value, so if the value is less than 0, then just return 0, or else return the updated value. So let's do that. So initial countdown value is equal to, so we can use a ternary operator here. We could also use if else, but I just prefer ternary operator in such conditions. Okay, so let's check the current value. So initial countdown value, if it's greater than 0, then return the value initial countdown minus 1, or else return 0. Let's save it. And now as you can see, it goes and stays at 0. So let me explain you this line of code. So what we're doing here is, first we check. So this is a ternary operator. It has a condition, and if the condition is true, it runs the first statement, and if the condition is false, it runs the second statement. So if my initial countdown value is greater than 0, what it does is it reduces the value. Say for example, it was 10. So this condition would be true, and the control flow will go here. So 10 minus 1 will be 9, and that 9 will be stored in this initial countdown value. But say for example, our initial countdown value has reached 0. So this condition will be false, and it will go to the else part, or this after the colon part, and it will just return 0. All right. So that's how we did the countdown part. So now moving on to the background change part. So if you see here, so this assets file, if you see it in the Explorer, inside assets, we have two background 1 and 2. So by default, the source file has background 1. So what we can do here is change that value. So every time the value is even, say 10, 8, 6, etc., we can show the first one. And every time it's odd, say 9, 7, 5, etc., we can show the second background. So let's put that condition here. So first let's store it in a variable, say background image path. So what we need to do is check if the current countdown value, so let's say initial countdown value, mod by 2. So we want to check for even odd. So mod by 2 gives 0. So if it is even, then use the string assets background 1. And if it's odd, then use the string assets background 2. Now, to update a property, just like inner HTML is a property, similarly src is a property for the image element. So first let's select that image element. So var background image element. So document.get element by ID. Let's see if we have an ID here. Yes, we do. So bg-image. So let's use it here. So now we've got the image element. So what we have to do is update the attribute source. But before we do that, let's print it here. So console log background image element. So coming here. So this image element has the attribute src, and to access it, we can simply do .src. So if I print this here, it gives us the URL of the image. All right, so similarly, if we can access it, we can update it also the same way. So just like we did here. So we selected it and then we updated it here. Similarly, we can do it with the source attribute as well. So let's select our HTML element. So background image element dot. So the name of the attribute is src. So dot src is equal to back image path. Let's save it. So coming back here, and now as you can see, whenever the value is even, it selects a different background, and whenever the value is odd, it selects a different background. And when it reaches 0, it stops iterating anymore. But that doesn't mean the set interval stopped. So if I print a console here, say interval running, so as you can see, with every second this value gets updated. And even when it reaches 0, even after that it will get updated. So even after 0, this number is increasing. So it's 14, 15, it keeps on going. It's just that the content is not getting updated because we've put this condition here. So just a recap. So to update the content of an HTML element, we can select the element and use this inner HTML property. And to update some attributes, we can select the HTML element and dot and use the name of that property. So right now it was src, so we did dot src. Similarly, if you wanted to update the class name, we could simply do like this. So background image element dot class name is equal to, say, background image. So let's print this element before and after the change. So console log. So background image element, let's paste it here as well. So if we move this inside here, let's save it. And as you can see, for the first time, it did not get updated. But after that, it has this class back name. So similarly, you can update any attribute, any property of an HTML element using this method. So select the element dot and the name of that property. And that's a wrap for today. I hope this gave you a better understanding of how to select and update HTML element content and update the HTML element properties. That's all for today, guys. But if you have any doubts or queries, feel free to drop a comment below or reach out to me on Twitter. I'll add my Twitter handle in the description below. See you in the next video. Bye and take care.